cameras, which means there's going to be a new link.
Well, this is it. It's killed my stream now as well, so I might as well just shut it off anyway.
Okay.
Broadcast gameplay. We'd love your feedback. I'm
Awful.
extremely unhappy because you broke my commentary, you broke everything, and now we've had to restart halfway into qualifying.
Broadcast. Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem our stream was only 6 minutes. That's wrong.
Okay, so there's now a new stream up. I think. But I can't find it.
Yeah, it could be a PSN issue, couldn't it? Because, I mean, I've changed no settings whatsoever. There have been a few software updates to the place, or hardware updates, I suppose.
Right, Owen, talk.
I'm talking, I'm explaining, I mean, I don't mean to sound condescending to PlayStation, but there's a real issue here.
We're now streaming under my name. So I'm in charge of the cameras.
Well, I mean, technically we've always been streaming under your name. Sort of
well, under my account then.
Yeah.
I don't even know whose lap it is.
That's a very good point, actually. I believe we're looking at Jake on a lap.
Well, Leroy has set a lap,
Leroy's
so yeah, let's go with Jake. So, welcome back, everybody. We're really not quite sure what happened. We're still trying to work it out, but I think we are now streaming and you can hear both I and Owen.
I would like to think so, really, wouldn't you? But
yeah, and Jess has confirmed she can hear both of us. So Jake O'Sullivan goes P1, 1043, so already quicker than the Kia series. And we'll move from Jake to Gareth, and we'll carry on as if nothing ever happened, Owen.
Yeah, I believe that's the right way to go about things. I will chase whatever happened up with PlayStation later on, as Gareth runs round in what looks like, well, it's a bit of a British Racing Green Aston Martin type deal. The only time I can ever recall him running this, as he drives the wrong track, by the way, was when he bottled Silverstone. Wow, I've got a clarify what was that. Season 6 he did that, because he also bottled it this season. But Gareth is very much in a must-win situation, and he's going to qualify last.
Okay.
So I would like to know his strategy with this, unless he really has had a brain malfunction. But I don't imagine he would have. But he is driving properly, though. That's the thing.
He is. Maybe he wanted the original layout, but because he won't go very fast, I'm going to move over to Ben Shaw, who is taking the SuperSpeedway lines. Yeah. And we'll follow Ben Shaw on board for the remainder of his lap, because that was Gareth taking up all the airtime. Ben Shaw, of course, with his miracle win last time out, some 2-3 weeks ago now. Up to the line, what can he do? It's P3 from Ben Shaw as we move on, Owen Wyatt, to our Fast 5, beginning with Mr. Arnaud de Grief.
Arnaud de Grief, the man who is, I don't know, well, are we allowed to talk about favourites for the title yet? Because I feel like he's a bit of a sort of sly pretender, because of course he sat in 4th at the moment in the standings, just one race win, but that is one race win more than he had last season, and he still very nearly had a shot at it in Las Vegas. So obviously we've got to be keeping an eye on him tonight and for the rest of the season. Behind Jake, who once again, I suppose we haven't mentioned it yet, Jake, who is at risk tonight. He's 7th out of 8. The top 6 survived this round of the playoffs, and obviously the bottom 2 round of 8. 7th and 8th they go. So Jake, in that P1, he needs to stay there. And now Gareth's taking the lines the lap after he was meant to. So, yeah. Kieran.
Jake, who isn't in a must-win, but he may as well be. I think he's like 24 points shy of where he needs to be. So the easiest way in for him is to win, because too many miracles need to happen in front of him. As we see Kieran take out the Aramco boardings. And where will young Kieran put himself?
He needs Kieran to have a bad race tonight. 17 points is what he needs to make up on Kieran. So that's essentially Kieran. Yeah, it basically is a must. It's about as close to a must win. But I mean, 12th isn't exactly good for Kieran, so it puts him in the danger zone for whatever chaos may happen at the start when everyone goes barreling into turn 1 at full speed, and turn 2, and turn 3, and turn,
Yeah.
it's gonna be madness. As Corey, the I believe 4-time race winner this season, finally coming of age in JACKOCAR, still top of the championship, and looking for his first crown as he comes through into the final sector. Pretty basic livery on him tonight. Suppose it'll make him easy enough to spot. Corey, I believe he got his strategy wrong right at the end of Monza. He pitted, I think, a lap too early for the second stage, so we had to sacrifice what would have been a 5th race win of the season to pit again and come home just 6th. But I mean, if that's a bad race for him, then that puts him in good stead. This is a bad lap for him, though, as he goes P11 only.
He's been very vocal, though, hasn't he? He doesn't like it. He does not like this speedway layout. Anyway, here's someone who does. I think he does anyway. It's always hard to tell because Casper is from Finland, and they show no emotion, do the Finns up there in the Arctic
played
Circle.
Uno with him?
Oh, I have not.
Trust
Is
me.
he a laugh a minute?
Then.
Oh, do they? Are they sweary emotions?
Oh, certainly.
Okay. And he made a point as well. 80 plus races in the league. Only the second time he's ever run red in JACKOCAR. So yeah,
Good Ferrari.
there's a fact about Casper.
Did you see his badge as well? I know. Well, yeah, you can see it on screen. His badge is quite good as well.
If you think my eyes are that good, you got nothing coming, son.
Yeah, well, the viewers might be able to see it. It's a very good Ferrari tribute, this, in France of all places. I think it was second, a bit like Ferrari. So, not bad, but now it's Mr. Pole Position on his way to ruin the session for everyone else once again. I would have thought Khalifa, who's looking for pole number 27. Just 27.
Just number 27, yeah. Of course, Ben Shaw closed the gap the other day, didn't he? I say the other day, a couple of weeks ago. Back up to 21 for Ben Shaw, but can Khalifa extend the pole's record to that mighty amount of 6? A record that was at threat this season was the stage wins on Al de Grief in charge of that, and then he's just romped away with it again, so he's very much in control. But is Khalifa in control over the line? It's only P10, so that's Jake O'Sullivan, who's gained 1 point back. A sign of things to come, perhaps.
Well, it puts him on to minus 16, which I know still isn't good, but it's not as bad as it was before, and he will be looking at that thinking, okay, that is a good start. But, well, look, we had high hopes from him in Monza, and then it all went completely wrong when he ended up just with the wrong sort of strategy. He ended up in the wall, or at least he broke the front wing. Things went wrong, basically. And so that pole position, it doesn't really mean much, especially here when the thing is everyone's going to be slipstreaming on that first lap. Khalifa could end up leading the race at the end of lap 1. He could end up upside down by the end of lap 1. The amount of chaos you're going to see here, because every time we come here, drivers take different lines through all the corners. There's such wide corners that you could easily have people just turning and you get T-boned. We saw at the very end of the race last season in the Cup Series, a crash right at the very end. I believe it was Ben Shaw just spun off on his own. It gave Ben Harrett a ticket to the Championship 5, I want to say, if I remember correctly. I think you might have been racing in that one, because I had Jamie Griffiths in the commentary box with me that day. But the point is, things going to happen here. So pole position for Jake, but I'd be very surprised if he leads the first lap. Casper second, Arnold third, Ben Harrett fourth, Ben Shaw fifth, Jamie Griffiths in sixth, Jordan 7th, Yuri 8th, Leroy 9th, Khalifa 10th, and Pete 11th, NK Bourne 12th, Corey 13th, Michelle Grace 14th, Kieran 15th, Wace 16th, Risky 17th, Quinn 18th, OKK 19th, and Gareth, who, despite taking what was close to the official circuit, was still quite slow for what would have been a regular time anyway. Starts very far behind in last place, and that's probably about 130, 140% off the time. Kick him out and never let him back in. What's worth pointing out, by the way, is that Ben Harrett's qualifying position quite vital here, because he is in a very, very tight race with Risky in the chase. Risky on 541 points, Ben Harrett on 539. It were those two who were both thinking they were going to be fighting for victory in Monza, and it very nearly was Risky winning it. He lost it right at the very end, and Ben Harrett, he lost it because he had to stack with Ben Shaw, who of course won the race in the end. So a lot of things happening at the moment. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on that chase battle as well.
There you go. And of course, the important thing to note is Ben Harrett won here last season and also Tuesday just gone. So he has the chance to become either the second or maybe third driver ever in JACKOCAR to sweep the week. Both races won in the same week, but nobody has ever done it at the same track in the same week. So he could write his name into the JACKOCAR history books, could the young Ben Harrett. But a win would certainly help him out in the chase, wouldn't it? He would dearly love that again.
Absolutely. I mean, he needs it, really. Well, the thing is, we can't really say a win in the chase is now a guaranteed ticket. It took, what, 6 seasons to get someone to win in the chase, and now it's almost expected for it to happen
5.
a couple of times. Or 5, was it, sorry? Are you sure?
I believe it was
I
a
think
Jake
it was
O'Sullivan
6.
thing.
Yeah, but he won the Challenger 5, not in the chase.
Oh,
it was
that's
his
very
first ever
true,
win,
isn't it?
wasn't it? I think
Very
it was
true.
SC Mats, and then he obviously then got a free race ban because he deliberately crashed himself out in Mexico, I think.
Yes, you'd be correct.
Quite a shambolic way, really, to end things there on that season. But the point is, now we expect to see people win in the chase. So yeah, keep your eye on Risky. Risky's only 17th, though, let us say, but I mean, that doesn't really mean anything. As long as you keep your nose clean at the start, anything can happen. We saw on Tuesday night, it all went completely mental. I mean, Liam, I don't know what he was doing, but he took out genuinely half the field on the main straight. And as funny as it was, it will be a warning to all the drivers here that it could happen to them tonight. And in a race so vital, you really do need to keep, let's say, your nose clean.
It shouldn't, though, should it?
Well.
So, to quickly explain it to those of you who've never watched France Superspeedway, the stage points are still around, but not very relevant so much. They are lap 3 and lap 20, so that's 1 pit stop before lap 20 and 1 from 21 onwards. Or you can do both after lap 21, doesn't matter. But at lap 45, we will have ourselves a competition caution. So as the drivers go on to lap 46, you'll see them all slow down. They'll go around for 46 and 47, and at 48 we will get ourselves back underway for a 6-lap sprint all the way to the end. So providing the drivers make it that far, then we should be in for a classic JACKOCAR finish. It's all about getting to lap 45 to begin with, and then worry about the hard racing at the very end. Of course, I was one of the few drivers who was happy with what Liam did at the end of Tuesday night, because I inherited a P3, which was not deserved. I'll take a free podium.
Yeah. And remember, of course, as if it wasn't hard enough in the commentary box to tell when the lights are going out, they're going to jump the start everyone here, because that's obviously in the rules. So
yep.
It's going to be even more difficult to figure out when this race starts. So frankly, we're just going to be guessing here. But we've got some lights on. They can go now, from what I can tell, and well, the lights have gone off, but I don't really know when they're going to go. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Jake hasn't got off the line whatsoever, and that's going to be him falling way down the field, because wait and see just how much of a tow everyone's going to get on him. It's going to be Casper all the way down towards turn 1. Who breaks at the right time? Who gets the line right? Does everyone get through without any sort of T-boning incidents? It's so hard to tell. Will anyone do Gareth's line from last season, where you just dive up the inside and nick a few spots? It worked quite well for him on that occasion. Everyone seems to be making it through relatively cleanly. And a second massive slipstream now down the back straight. Ben Harrett, the man who won this race just a couple of days ago, and of course last season, he fancies the lead. But Jake's now coming back, and it's already our first free wide moment of the evening. Get used to this, it's going to happen quite a lot. It's pack racing at its absolute finest, and it's Ben Harrett who leads away. And there's a few cars that were already starting to lose the back end a little bit. I suppose that's just, you know, keeping your nose clean and avoiding other cars. And there's a car around, a couple that could be our first couple of retirements there, because there's a lot of damage out there. Particularly to Corey, so it's a good thing he's already through. But as he comes through the final corner, it's going to be Ben Harrett who leads in France, and Ben Shaw chasing after him. He's already coming past Casper.
And that's a playoff point as well for Ben Harrett, don't forget. What is it with this place and Ben Harrett? He absolutely loves it. But, as you say, Owen, pack racing, and we're 4 wide into turn 1. Let's go on board with Casper as he takes the normal racing line. Ben Shaw up the inside. Ben Harrett on the inside of Casper, who loses it and just about saves it. That'll invite Jake and on out and almost Khalifa to come through and drop Casper out the top 5. Here comes Khalifa. No DRS just yet, but he is making the move. A little bit of ERS usage. They're side by side as we see the 4 cars in the lead try and break away from these two.
2 pitters at the end of that first lap. It was Michelle, Goris and Corey. I don't really know why they've pitted. There's so few corners here. You might as well just stick it out and get that stop done mandatory. But they've made their choice and they're into the pits. Ben Harrett still leading away then. But you can see it's Arnold is the one I think is looking the most sort of ambitious. And it was the same sort of story last season. Was it him or Ben's Shaw who spun at the end? Actually, I can't remember, to be honest with you. But I do believe Arnold was the fastest man here. And he's looking to take the lead for the first time today.
And
look at them. Look at this as they all head down towards turn 1. There is a bit of contact this time round as Ben Shaw just nicks the side there of Jake, I believe it was. And there's your first sort of worry there. He'll recover from this. Even though he's fallen down, he will recover. You will see him later on.
That's a horrible place to be as well.
And now the first dose of DRS. Here comes Casper. He's going to take that lead back that he had at the very start. And we're now nearly 5 wide. How are these lot going to deal with this as they head up towards turn 3? It's going to be, like I say, it's just a massive game of patience, isn't it? But like Khalifa, I said about him, he started P10. Told you he could be at the lead. He's going to be into the back there of Ben Harrett. And the rear's locking like crazy. Quite how that hasn't gone round. And Arnold did go round. I don't really know. But Khalifa somehow has kept going, and Casper's gone off, and he's taken Ben Harrett with him.
It's caught the end of that as well. So that means Khalifa inherits the lead, and he'll take Yori over the line. And
hey, spun. Sorry, I'm correcting myself.
Oh, sorry. I thought I'd done something wrong. But Yori Hazelager leads in France as we head in towards turn 1. His brother is P2. It's all happening here in France in the early stages. Of course, a long, long, long way to go. And I'm sure the likes of Casper and Ben Harrett and Arnold and Ben Shaw, they'll all recover. Gareth, by the way, P20 to P8, 4 laps in. Stage point as well for Khalifa on lap 3.
At this point of the race, I'm sure people will be starting to think about DRS chicken, because for Yuri there, that's just going to cost him 4 places potentially on that straight alone. Just the fact that he was leading going into it, and of course that'll play a big factor at the very end of the race. But
Go on, OKK.
Leroy who now leads it, and OKK is indeed in the fight, and I suppose he's got nothing to lose, has he? He's going to have a wee go at this, but it's the 2 brothers who are giving it a good go. Khalifa, again, could he be hiding back on purpose? He could just happily sit in DRS all day. He's in the wall! Forget that, he's in the wall! The whole front wing's gone. Somehow, not out of the race. That is, frankly, miraculous. That could have been 2 DNFs in a row. Oh, there is one in the wall, though. That's Quinn. That is out.
And here's me waiting for the safety car to come out. And, of course, it's not going to happen, is it?
Look at, well, I don't know if you saw that, but Pete was nearly T-boning Khalifa as he recovered back onto the track. He's all the way down to 17th now.
Oh. And as for Quinn, that's points he needed, but points he's not going to get. And that's 2 DNFs this week at the same track. Unbelievable misfortune for Quinn as the leaders continue to carry on without them. Jake, Leroy, Yori, OKK, the breakaway top 4. They've somewhat dropped Jordan, who's battling with Arnold still, the recovering Arnold. And Leroy now leads out of what I believe is turn 4, I think, Owen White.
I think Yuri as well is lucky. And so is OKK. Well, I was going to say he's lucky not to go round, but he did in the end. Yuri nearly went round just before him, but OKK, he did tap the wall with his rear wing. Hopefully he hasn't done any big damage to it, because that'd be a shame to see him dropping out so early on. But if you're Jake at the moment, you're very, very happy with how this is going. 4-second buffer to 4th place. So, I mean, as long as you just stay in this top 3, you're looking good to win this race. And it's not exactly a must-win, as we say. For a man who is a must-win, Gareth, he is catching, though. He might well find himself in there later on. So, you've got to keep your eye on these 2. Jake at the moment, it's just about keeping his car intact because he's in the right place.
Here goes Yuri. And you did mention as well, Gareth was excellent here last year. Could have won the race if it wasn't for a little bit of contact with 2 to go. But he found a unique line that nobody else could work with, and he is certainly making his way through the field. We are staying on board, however, with Yori, who's harassing the back of Jake O'Sullivan. Yori, who hasn't won since Austria season 6, I want to correct myself, maybe. But
Ooh,
certainly, he's got one race winning Cup Series, I know that. But having a good go early on here, will he get the lap before Jake? And he does. So Yori, the playoff point, leading lap 6.
And once again, you're seeing that DRS in effect. So it's that'll be interesting really at the end of the race as well. I suppose you will have a big DRS fight right towards the finish line. But let's say we're only on lap 7. A lot of time to think about the end of the race. A lot of time for Gareth to be down at the inside, and he's made that move work once again. Look,
he's loving this, isn't he?
I think he's also potentially nicked the DRS detection point there. Not quite, but he nearly did. I think he's working that move out. Like I say, we'll see that towards the end, but he's playing with it, and I think he's liking what he's seeing, because give that a few more laps, you'll have those two sorted. This is really sort of his testing bed, then we'll see the proper stuff later on. Outside of the leading fight, there is still things going on. There's still people hitting each other, as Ben Shaw sends, I think that was OKK, for a very long trip around the corner, and this is all in the fight for 7th place. It's going to be difficult to try and keep a track of everyone, to be honest, because there's a lot going on, but it is worth noting that Risky and Ben Harrett are right next to each other, and they need to keep each other within view today, as Ben Harrett nearly puts it in the wall, so we will have to keep our eye on these two. Ben Shaw maybe feels lucky he's not part of this lot after his win last week, because he was certainly under pressure before taking that win at Monza, and the pace he's showing today, again, I suppose he's feeling very lucky he's got that win.
Yep, they're all looking quite racy. This pack of 4, aren't they? Sullivan, Michael, Ben and Ben. Ben and Risky, I know they're rivals in the chase, but they really do need to work together until lap 45 at least. No point taking each other out if one of you isn't going to gain anything.
But as well, they also had to think about the fact that Yuri could win the race at the minute. He's very much in the fight for it.
Very true, yeah.
The man in 3rd place in the chase with 16 points behind Risky. It's not an insurmountable gap in 3 races. Of course, we go on about Jake's gap. He's got 1 race to that. If Yuri wins this tonight, that really closes it up. So got to think about him as well. Oh, OKK's had another incident. He's hit Ben Shaw, and luckily not collected there by Ben Harrett. No! Risky's gone into Ben Harrett, and the whole front wing is gone on Ben Harrett's car. Can't quite see, but I'm not entirely sure Risky has a front wing either. He does have a front wing. That is good news for him. It doesn't look to be much damage to it either, but my goodness me. I'm going to assume they must have just been unsettled there by OKK.
We were on board with it on my angle, and Risky was avoiding the car on by the wall, basically, and I think it was Ben Shaw who come across on a natural line for what would have been for him. And it was 3 into 1, bit of track doesn't go, and that's why that happened. Nobody at fault, so we'll continue racing. They will have a chance to catch up. They can't afford any more mistakes, though. Ben Harrett, comes out P16. Jamie Griffiths also in the pits, so they are making their first stops, I believe, here. Yes, they are.
Of course, it happened right next to the pit lane. Not saying it hasn't cost Ben Harrett anything. It will still cost about 10, 15, 20 seconds, but at least the stop is out of the way, the first one. So he can get into a little bit of clean air. He's got 4.5 seconds around him. Of course, so that means no DRS, and that actually is quite a big issue here. You sort of do want to be in traffic. Now, I'm gonna take that statement back. You do want to be in traffic, because there's a lot of DRS here, and you need it. So actually, maybe that's not a good place to be. Where Gareth is at the minute, it's a great place to be. They're both catching Leroy, who hasn't got any DRS. And I believe, and Jordan, of course, as well in that scrap. So I still think Gareth will be relatively happy with how this is going.
Jamie Griffiths, by the way, at threat of being lapped as the leaders are starting to really reel the back markers in now. Of course, you can afford to go 1 lap down, but any more than that, then you will struggle to get back into it. As Yori takes the lead from Jake O'Sullivan. These two are the only real survivors of all the early crashes that we've had. 10 laps into this race now. And
you would hope
Yori
it would settle down now, wouldn't
this
you?
one. Yeah, you would like to think. Now that they're all sort of spaced out, it's pretty much for us, Owen, a waiting game until lap 48.
Indeed, and it'll give these guys a good chance just to be, again, continue to get acclimatized, because it's the only time in the league racing career, I suppose, you'll ever drive something like this. And so I suppose you need the time more than anything. If this was only a 50% race, you'd see a lot more accidents, which in terms of being fun for us to watch, would also just mean to get 6 or 7 finishers, and it'd just be a bit of a... And, well, not just a major pile-up at the end like on Tuesday, but, you know, by the time you get to the time of the pile-up, there'd only be 4 or 5 cars to get into the pile-up.
It really did ruin it on Tuesday, I won't lie. You know, I was looking forward to racing everyone, because I spent the whole first 40 laps sort of by myself, near enough. Couple of battles with different people, so you just end up experimenting different lines and whatnot, see what works for you. And by the time it came to it, there was only 4 of us really in contention at the end because of a certain someone's antics.
What sort of penalty has he gotten? Because I mean, even Jess wasn't happy about it in the chat.
I think you'll find it's a lifetime ban.
Lovely. Again, this is. I feel like we've banned him before.
Yeah, I was saying this earlier to someone. He's the first person to ever be banned twice from the same league.
Fantastic.
It's funny, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what, he'll take that one to the JACKOCAR grave. It'll take a long time for that to get beaten.
Oh.
More season left, so...
There's a bit of lag there.
Was there?
Am I okay? Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you, yes.
Okay.
Just with our record of already being on 3 technically separate streams already tonight, I'm hoping that we just get through this tonight.
Yeah, no more, please. Let's go to Arnaud and Ben Shaw and see what they're doing. Battling with young Jordan, it would appear. Gareth in that fight as well.
Oh my goodness me, is that... Sorry, I'm getting really distracted. Is that Corey and I being loud? Because he nearly very much got in the way there of Jake, and that could have been an accident there. Oh my goodness.
That's a pit stop.
Well saved, because that was not stable from Corey. Of course, I suppose here you can absolutely floor it into the pit lane, can't you? I wonder how many are going to remember that.
You absolutely can.
Because that could save you a couple of crucial seconds. I'm sure they will all have realised that once they cut a million corners and get no penalties. Again, the whole point was no rules. But again, sometimes the basics might just catch up. Again, I imagine Jake possibly forgot to jump the start slightly. You know, it's the simple things you got to remember here.
Yeah, I had a bad start on Tuesday and just got swamped by everyone. So yeah, the start is crucial. You naturally, instinctively wait for the firelights to go out, but some people are much more on the ball than I. And we're watching here, Jordan in P6. Takes a different line to Arnaud and Gareth in front of him, but Gareth certainly having a very good day in the first 13 laps, it has to be said. So Arnaud cuts back underneath him.
A couple of seconds to Leroy, have you noticed? So they've been fighting too much. Because I would have thought, the reason I was saying it would be an advantage to have this sort of traffic is because you can DRS each other each lap and get that extra half a second on the straights. But if you're fighting in the corners, that's going to disrupt it. And again, you got 40 more laps of this lot. You've got to make sure you're making progress. And again, I know they'll all be sitting there saying, but we've got the end of the race. But you could be taken out at the end of the race if you're stuck in the mid-pack. You've got to make sure you're putting yourself in a near enough front-running position and hope that it all happens behind you, for instance. So I am wondering if they should be fighting a bit less. I mean, look at what Jake and Yuri are doing. For the most part, they really are just swapping places. They're not fighting. They're DRSing, they're doing what they need to do, and Leroy hasn't got a chance.
Yep.
In fact, he's more busy fighting Jamie Griffiths than he is fighting anyone for position. That's just the way it is. But at least Jamie Griffiths has got that chance to keep up with someone.
And Owen, I've said it for years. Your friends are where you find them, and at the moment, Jake and Yuri, you never saw this one coming, but they are the best of friends because they extend their lead over Leroy once again. So it's amazing how this is working. But when it comes to the final lap, who's going to lead over the line? They won't be friends then, I can assure you.
The thing is, I genuinely do think if Gareth's in the top 5 at the restart at the end of the race, he's going to surely win it or crash trying. Because he's got no choice, has he? I mean, I think if Jake really needs to, depends on where Kieran is, he could finish second. He's already got some playoff points. At the minute, he could well as well, take the most laps led, and he'll take both stages, I would have thought. So, he could take second here and be fine, and let Gareth go and win the race. And that could benefit him directly, because that could dump Casper and Kieran out. Although it would take quite a lot, actually, to get Kieran, or to get Casper.
Yeah.
It might be okay, actually, wouldn't it? Although there's enough points on the table for it. Even now, it's technically at risk according to the graphics, so...
Oh, Yori Spurn!
Well,
I don't think there's any damage, though.
Yeah, there's massive damage. No front wing on that car.
Okay.
That's a chase campaign that was looking very good. That's just looking very bad now.
What I was going to
race
say...
gets a little bit better.
What I was going to say about Jake is, as much as he can work out the points, when I was racing around here on Tuesday, it is amazing how much more you concentrate at an easy track like this compared to a regular layout of, say, a Spa, a Britain, whatever.
I think we're losing... Yeah, we've lost Arnaud. He was dropping off the pace. He was starting to drive the regular track, and Arnaud is out. Or at least he's down. Because as long as he can get back in the lobby, of course, he could be in the mix for the restart. But the issue this is going to pose is if anyone comes up to him and he brakes suddenly for a corner that no one else is taking.
Yeah, because look at this.
It could cause accidents, but luckily no one's near him at the chicane. It's a Mistral Stray, isn't it? That's what it's called. I finally remembered. Thank goodness for that. It only took me 16 laps. I'm proud of myself. But, yes, Arnaud will be touring around quite slowly, so I do hope everyone's aware, as Jake, now that he's got no one around him, has made his first stop.
Yep, which will give Leroy a lap led and a playoff point.
I don't think that was wise, that from Jake, because he's now relying on however many cars ahead of him, all to pit by the end of lap 20 here. Otherwise, he's just missed out another stage point. That feels... a man under no pressure who can pit whenever you want. That, I think, was a slight lapse in judgment there.
The thing is, as we said it in the other stream, so no one would have heard it, but you don't even need to do one pit stop before lap 20. You can do them both from 21 onwards.
This is my point. Yeah, he's gone and slightly dropped the ball, I think, because what this is also going to do, it'll be at least 3 or 4 laps where he's not leading the race anyway, which could cost him most laps led. He needs every point he can get today. I know Kieran's only 9th, but I mean it's up from where he was in qualifying, isn't it? So I mean, yeah, I think Jake might look back on that and maybe not be too happy with it. But well, he's come back out in 7th anyway. At least he's done a pit stop. He only has to worry about making one more. Can you make that stop under the competition caution?
Absolutely. Lap 45.
So this is the thing. He really could have just done it after lap 20, then just waited for the competition caution. He could have waited until everyone else had pitted, then pits himself. You're not going to get much of an undercut here. It's flat out. So, he really could have played that to the point where he forces it to be getting the playoff points and lead till lap 30, get the most laps led, and then pit. But
he did actually have the most laps led until that point with 7 laps to his name. Leroy's on 2, Yori 3. Leroy's on 4, Khalifa 1, and Ben Harrett 2.
I just think the second, Yuri drops off there, that's your chance to build up some laps later and just build up everything you need to build up. Then worry about the pit stops later. No one's going to catch you unless you put it in the wall. Maybe he was worried he was going to do that, but I don't think he would. But anyway, mistakes have been made. Will now be interesting to see if Leroy makes the same mistake, because of course Jordan and Gareth would love, Jordan's pitting, and look at that, he slows down for the pits. So that's going to cost him in that battle with Gareth, because I'm almost 100% certain Gareth will bomb it in there.
Yeah, he will.
And that leaves Gareth on his own there. So if Leroy pits here before lap 20, I'm sure he won't, but if he does, Gareth will be the one who starts to build up those points. And if he wins this race and starts picking off playoff points, you could be looking at him in the round of 6 for, I believe, the first time ever, and he could have a realistic opportunity to make something happen. That's what this could mean. Gareth, or Jake right now could be accidentally handing the advantage to Gareth in the championship, right here.
And then that would potentially put Gareth in a position to go to the Championship 5.
Exactly.
And then we've got nobody to help commentate with us.
Oh, it depends how early he retires, doesn't it? But it's
I guess.
It's the point is, this looks to me like possibly his best chance yet here, Gareth, of making this work. I think we'll lose. Is Casper just going to be slowing down as well for the pits? Has he been pushed in? He was pushed in there by Ben Shaw. I wonder if Ben Shaw's picked up some damage.
I don't think so, based on the back of Casper's
he got
looking
a good
back camera.
Well, I would have thought possibly Casper would have picked up some damage because he got a good old whack there. I mean, I was on board with Casper, and you could tell he got hit. So that'll be interesting because if you lose your rear downforce here, it's game over.
Yeah, but of course, damage is on reduced. Don't forget.
Well, perhaps that'll save him, but still, I'm surprised again. People just the basics, you know what I mean? It's so easy to forget, but
And Owen, here's someone who's lost out. Yuri Hazelager. I know he had that spin, but those guys who pitted behind him are now in front of him. Ben Shaw, Casper Klein. So not a good few laps for Yuri Hazelager. What a shame for him.
Playoff point for Leroy.
Massive.
So he is taking the sensible route and just leading the race. That you know what I mean? You gotta just do that. I don't see any reason why not. Of course, the issue is he is one of two people who we don't want to be leading this race because he's out of the championship. Quinn's already binned it, so it doesn't matter. But he's out of the championship, so he's really just a spoiler here for Jake or for Gareth.
Yeah, it's Gareth's the man we want. But don't forget that competition caution will change this race.
Indeed, it will.
It certainly did on Tuesday, and it certainly did last season when we were here, because nobody saw Ben Harrott winning, did they?
I'm sure I probably said it once or twice in comms. At least if I didn't, I'll claim I did. As Pete puts himself in the wall. I'm going to assume that's through the final corner. It is indeed. He's gone a long way down that main straight before finally coming to a stop with a missing wheel. As Khalifa, in only 14th place, comes past. He is just a man for that competition 9. Yeah, look at that. Leroy comes in. Right, Gareth, if I'm you, and that's a terrifying thought, but if I'm you, I'm stretching this sin. I'm leading the most laps. That's what you've got to do. You might not even need more than 15, 20 laps to get it. You know what I mean? Like, you might just need to go to lap 35, 36 and then pit. Because
I have that stat for you.
So much.
At the moment, most laps led is tied between Leroy and Jake. They're both on 7 laps. Gareth has already led 1. So lead another 7, and that's an easy playoff point.
My point is, of course, Jake will retake the lead when he pits, possibly.
Of course. But that's why Gareth has to extend.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking, bank 15 or so laps. Maybe bank 16, 17 laps. Get yourself to a point where Jake will not be able to overtake that number before the competition caution's over. Because on that restart, all hell will break loose and you'll be lucky to lead 5 laps in a row. It'll be almost impossible to do so with all the cars around you. So, Gareth, you've got to get your calculator out and think about what you're going to do here.
Gareth knows this, though, doesn't he?
Well, this is it. He's arguably the smartest man in the league. I know that's a very dangerous thing to say, but if you ever see someone playing games, it's him doing it. He knows exactly what he's doing. He always has known exactly what he's doing, and people can't stand him for it. But as commentators, we can't get enough of it. Now, what I have noticed he is actually losing way too much time to Jake here. Jake might actually just catch and pass him, which is another problem. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens, because that gap was about 9 seconds not too long ago between Gareth and Jake. So, and it's quickly closing. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there.
But Gareth should be able to stay within the DRS and then work with Jake. You'd like to think.
You would have thought so, but they will look at each other.
Old mediums on Tuesday, and it wasn't too bad.
They will look at each other as direct rivals, though. They are.
They are,
these
yeah.
two, they're fighting for their lives here in the championship.
They're both in the drop zone.
Most at risk here tonight. That's my whole point. You've got to make sure Jake doesn't pick up these extra points. You could pick them up, Gareth. You've got to pick them up before he does. It's a very unique scenario. This very rarely happens, actually, where the two drivers at risk are the ones fighting this out at the minute.
Yeah. So to put it into context, Owen, for the viewers, Jake O'Sullivan currently minus 16 to Kieran, and Gareth Hall, who leads this race, in a must-win position. But if it stays in a state where Casper, Kieran, Arnaud, Ben, Khalifa and Corey all outperform them, then they're both eliminated. So it could go either way.
Yes, and again, I'm going to bring up the basics a lot tonight, but it is worth pointing out. Will we see Jake, for instance, make a mistake and pit for a second time before the competition caution? I'd be very surprised, but he pitted so early the first time round. What's to say he wouldn't just make another stop on lap 35 or something? Do you know what I mean? Or, try an undercut or something, and then it'll just skip his mind that this is coming. Or maybe he'll think you can't pit under it. Maybe there'll be questions that go through their minds, and there'll be things that they just don't even think about. So you got to think about that as well, or at least certainly I am, and again Gareth certainly will be. I'm hoping and expecting that Jake is smart enough to know that you'll be able to pit under the competition, but you just don't know. You really just don't know. And I think Jake's going to get him on the next lap, or possibly even this lap, by the way. It does look like the new tyres on Jake is working very well for him, and yeah, Gareth, even if he does get overtaken, I have a feeling that the second he drops out of a DRS, he might as well actually just pit, which is a shame. But that will mean he's going to lose out to a handful of drivers here,
If you look at the gap, Leroy's 15 seconds away, so he's, where would he come out? 8th or 9th? Something like that?
He will lose out quite a bit, but yeah, we'll keep our eyes on it. We'll keep you posted. But
well, he has led 4 laps so far, so he needs another 3 to tie Leroy and Jake.
I think it's also worth pointing out that again we've got some DRSing going on because Casper and Leroy, they will be gaining a lot of time because they are, I hope, being smart in this fight. Of course, Casper's on soft. I don't know how they're going to react really to this track. Not something I've ever really thought about, but I don't know, that might give him a bit of extra purchase out of the corners, or perhaps Jordan's hards will give him the better long-term success as he fights Risky, who is yet to stop as well. That is going to help Ben Spurs catch him because he's done quite well to close this gap up to him. He's only about 15-ish seconds behind him, possibly less. So, he broke that front line earlier on, but got a mandatory pit stop out of it, used those new tyres, or newer tyres, and he'll jump Risky when he pits.
Here we go. Here goes Jake Owen. Sorry to interrupt, but it's nice and easy for him. So what will Gareth do? Will he stay with Jake and work with him with the DRS, or will he do, as you say, and pit and get onto a nice new set of, I assume, he'll go softs or maybe mediums?
It could be soft if you got the tyres, which you will, of course, because of the way the qualifying system works. It's a big if he pits, because if he's in DRS, he may well stay out. And he stays just about in DRS, so let's see what happens here. If he can close, because he's still losing time, actually. Just the raw grip of the tyres is not there whatsoever. Which, again, is going to cause a problem for Gareth or for Jake later on, because he pitted so much earlier than the others. So people will close in on him.
Okay, I'm doing that line again up the inside. But then this is where he struggles on the exit, is because it's so much tighter compared to that wider line that you see the likes of Jake and Casper take. But he is in DRS. Yeah.
Like nothing. He's going to pass him, look. So he can keep up. That is very good news. Very, very, very good news. And Casper's quicker than the two of them. So you've got to keep your eye on him. If Casper wins this race, that completely kills this off, because he's also technically at risk. He's almost certainly going to go through anyway. But, he's at risk at this too. So it's very much in his interest to win the race. As Risky up into 5th place, he's fighting away with Jordan. And Gareth, again, I don't think he's going to get DRS this time, Now he should be pitting. So even though he had the chance, it just doesn't have the grip. So I think, well, they're saying that actually, he's still close on the main straight. And he'll dive up the inside again. He'll dive up that inside line, and before you know it, he's through. But look at the gap with Casper. This is flying down. And Gareth's got his line all wrong.
Better line from Jake, if anything. Good exit.
So that's box right now. That's box 2 laps ago. It's the way I'm going to read that. So, of course there was. I'll say that in hindsight, but I agree with him saying, I think that was the right thing to do at the time. But now, it's about getting yourself in the pits before this becomes unrecoverable. But we are only at the halfway point, so we just crossed that actually. So plenty more to happen. But Jake will feel in control, but I do think Leroy and particularly Casper will feel, secretly they'll feel quite good about this. I think Casper in particular will feel quite good about this.
Gareth will pit, but he slows down for it, Owen. I think he didn't know where the pit lane was. He didn't know where it was.
Not what I expect from a veteran. Not what I expect from a man who knows every rule, even the ones that don't exist. But oh well. There goes his second place, and by a long way there goes that second place. It may even be there goes that 8th for 9th place, but it is new softs as you hypothesised.
I did say 8th or 9th, didn't I? Here's Ben Shaw, he is P9, and he's going to get Gareth.
Yeah, that's just not worked out at all, has it actually? He's looking at safety car then. I say safety car, competition caution of course, is what it actually is. But anyway, there he is back on track, and Casper back into second. And the thing is as well, this win isn't just useful tonight. This win will leapfrog him above Arnaud in the championship, because Arnaud's nowhere, he's nearly last. So, although I would imagine that is Arnaud who's done his second stop. No, he hasn't actually. He's only done 1 stop, so he's really having a bad day, Arnaud.
Yep.
He might have been off more than once then. Michel Goris is the highest driver who's done 2 stops. Corey as well has done 2 stops. Not really actually that important though, is it? It's way too early in the race to have done your second stop.
Way too early.
But anyway, like I say, back to Casper. If he wins this, or even finishes second, he'll go ahead of Arnold in the championship. That's really, really quite vital, because it means that Arnold's the man under pressure going into the next 2 rounds, and of course we don't know where those rounds are, so you've really got to be well, of course you do, but the drivers, Arnaud and Kieran, who must be sitting here tonight possibly thinking it's going to become a must-win situation next time out.
Let me interrupt. On lap 30, as it stands, being eliminated from the round of 8 is Gareth Hall and Kieran Spears, if it stays like this.
This is it, yeah. So I suppose I'm talking. What if Casper wins? Would that change it?
No, it doesn't affect anything.
No. So
Jake's too far back. I mean, where is Kieran? He's 14th, so that's what? Yeah. 654 points. Yeah, it's not enough for Jake. He would be out.
Ben Harrett and Gareth are now fighting away, so that's Gareth down to 10th now, I think. So I think he's just been passed. So maybe just getting those tyres into play, because 21 lap old mediums versus new softs, it's really no contest once those tyres are all up to temperature, which looking at Gareth's steering wheel, they aren't fully up to temperature, and that's another thing. I wonder what people have done with tyre pressures tonight, if they've been able to jack them up, or if you had to turn them down, things maybe you had to think about, wing levels and all the rest of it. Differential, all those things you've got to think about. What about your suspension? It's a very unique track. Do you know how to, if people know how to do their setups? I don't. So, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what to do. But if there's someone there who does, I think we've been racing there for 4 seasons now, and that's the first I've ever thought about that. So that could be something else that people are doing. Yuri is fighting away with Jordan again, so he's been able to catch up to Jordan, having had that spin earlier on. He's kind of passed him after Jordan really spinned himself, and Yuri with a really good recovery list so far to put himself back in contention, I would say. Almost certainly. And that again, if he wins this race, that throws everything into chaos as well, because the chase becomes obviously a race championship. Is, it becomes 2 to go in that
Yeah,
next week, and that's very much opened up if Yuri wins this
the
or
chase.
finishes anywhere in the top 4, really.
The chase, as it stands, Sullivan Lewis leads on 541 points, 2 points clear of Ben Harrott on 539, and then Yuri Haslager minus 16 to Sullivan Lewis. So a win for Yuri would take him to 4 points clear of Sullivan should Risky not score a point. So it doesn't completely throw it wide open, but it certainly brings everybody into play. Lap 32 here at the France SuperSpeedway at Paul Ricard.
It's going back quite quickly, actually. I do think the drivers are already now going to be starting to think about what they do at the end, because in fairness, Casper's pace has dropped off because of the way he's been fighting with Leroy. Maybe that's because his salts are flying off, but perhaps it's the fact they are swapping places every corner now. And Corey will be getting involved as well. He's on the back of them too. Nothing stops him fighting. He's got to stay with them if he wants to not fall off the grid completely. So it is in his best interest to be fighting away with that. And Yuri losing 2 places there in one go. Again, I do wonder what his tactics are there. Is he doing that on purpose? Because, I mean, look at the lines for him going through turn 1 there. That'll all converge on the exit, and Yuri will have by far the best run. So I do think people might still be working out exactly how to race here. It is fascinating to watch. I can see what you're saying about the concentration. It is just pure concentration, because if you get one little thing wrong, it's an airplane crash, you're done.
It's even harder in when there's a group of you all together, because you've got to think the inside guy has priority on turning, so you can only run as tight as he does. So then you're looking where he is, but you've got to keep thinking in your mind, what if I want to try and get around him? There's a guy on my left, or my right, whoever's on the outside. So being in the middle, being in a pack, it's very, very difficult. Of course, these cars are not set up for that type of racing. And that's why we love it here in JACKOCAR. Yuri makes a move on Mike Kelterborn for P4. Is that Jordan Lane coming with him? Yes, it is. He moves up to P5 momentarily. But it is Yuri who has the lead out of those guys on this lap, lap 34. Remember, lap 45 is the competition caution.
And it is Jordan here who, it is worth saying, is only, I suppose, 27 points off, which is a lot, I know, but especially for a chase driver. But again, a really good result for him here tonight. You never know what difference that could make to his season. We keep waiting for the almighty victory to come up, but I mean, if he's running 4th when the competition caution comes out, he's racing well here today.
Don't even mention Jordan and winning.
Anything could happen here. If it's going to happen, it'll happen here. Because it is, I'm not going to say it's a complete lottery at the end, because it's not. If you know what you're doing, if all the practice, because this is basically a glorified practice session, if all the practice you're getting in for these first 35 laps and the rest, you'll know what to do at the end if you've been paying attention to what's going on. And if you get your racing brain engaged, you could just about nick a win. The great thing about this is that, of course, Jake, well, he does actually have a slight chance to do this as he fights away there with, I believe that's Jamie Griffiths. So that'll give him a chance, actually, to just do some racing, because after Yuri took himself out of the equation, he has just been on his own. He's got to know what he wants to do on a restart. And having Jamie there, I think he'll actually quite appreciate that. Oh, he's off! Well, that's not helping at all, is it?
He's got a 14-second lead.
The second he sees a car around him, he spins off and he gets away with it. But I tell you what, that's not going to do his confidence any good whatsoever when it comes to the end of this race, because that's him dropping it under pressure. And he's going to have no speed on that main straight. He'll be losing seconds. And Casper and Leroy, they can smell blood now.
11 seconds wiped out just like that.
And he's on older tyres than these two as well. Of course, again, it doesn't necessarily matter, but the principle here is that Jake has just proven he is susceptible to the pressure, and he needs to do some racing to know what to do at the end of this race. It'll be great and wonderful. He will get the most laps led, that is true, and he'll get the playoff points for that. But if he ends up finishing 7th, doesn't matter. You'll be out. It'll be game over.
Yeah, he's just lapping Waze, and more importantly, lapping Kieran here as well. So despite the issue, he still has the lead and can still put a rival a lap down as Waze tries to unlap himself. That's a little bit too close for comfort for little Jakey Poo. And he tries to accelerate away. What happened to Waze there? He dropped back and lets Leroy and Casper through. This is going to be hectic.
This is Kieran,
the
man who needs Jake to have a bad race. Not suggesting any gamesmanship here, but of all the drivers you want to be with, it's not Kieran right now.
He didn't give him much room there, did he? Right up against the pit wall. Schumacher Barrichello style.
He'll be coming straight back past him, I would have thought, on DRS if he has any hope in hell. And he's going up against an Arnold, so close to crashing into the two of them as they all converge on each other. And now Jake is going to get that racing practice because he's very much in the middle of a dogfight.
Yeah, unbelievable line from Kieran for turn 1, by the way.
Genuinely, I'm not going to call this a bad thing for Jake. It could honestly be like somewhat of a happy accident, this. Because he needs to have a little bit of this before the onslaught at the end of the race, because he'll be dealing with this sort of stuff.
Well, as they said on Tuesday night, dealing with idiots. But of course, I'm not allowed to say that. But look at Kieran. He's really giving Jake a hard time. You should not bump draft through a corner. That's one rule that we may have to implement. But he will get away with it.
Time with it, though.
Oh, is that Arnold? Sorry. It was Arnold
doing it, yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to unlap himself.
Arnold again, who may not mind seeing Jake dropping out of the championship tonight. If I'm being cynical, these two really, actually, you really couldn't pick two worse people to come against. Maybe Gareth. I suppose Gareth.
Yeah,
Gareth
Gareth
at this point. But that'll be for later on, perhaps. Fascinating stuff here, because we are running out of laps. We've only got, what, 8 laps to go before the yellow. So...
And just think,
it's all starting to close down here.
When we get to lap 45 as well, these guys that Jake is in front of, which is Arnold, Kieran, Waze, Michelle and Corey, they're all going to be able to unlap themselves. I'm assuming Corey is on 1 lap down. I'm not really too sure. He's had a very quiet race. He's overtaking or unlapping himself from Casper at the minute.
Yes,
he Leroy as well.
Oh, Kieran so nearly did it, you know. He certainly took Jake out. And then Arnold nearly took Kieran out. Very, very close quarter racing here.
The thing is, though, and all of these guys know that this is a winnable race. It doesn't really matter about your skill level. All 18 remaining can win this race, and one of them's going to have to. And I just don't know who yet.
The thing is, in my heart of hearts, I would have been saying Jake until he made that mistake. I worry he'll be unsettled now on the restart. It'd be going through my mind still, absolutely. That all on my own, I went up. And he knows, I do think it was Arnold last season who, on the last lap, did that pretty much that exact same mistake.
Yep.
Just spin with a car right near you. It can happen so easily. You're on an unfamiliar track, it can catch you out. You'll be on a piece of track, possibly on that last lap you've never been on before. You don't know what bumps are there. This game doesn't have very good laser scan tracks. And that's not me having like a slight to the game. It's just the facts.
Look at Arnold.
Oh, Kieran's gone. Kieran's gone. Well, that's going to relieve a bit of the pressure on Jake there. But the point is, you could hit a rogue bump that's been in the game since 2019 that no one's ever touched before. They'd never know to fix it. So you do need to have that little bit of tension in there. I think Jake will be feeling it. He's pulled a good gap though since. From the spin, he's had some DRS to play with, hasn't he? He's had some DRS to play with. Again, it's with Arnold, who I know he's only 14th, but I still regard him as one of, if not the fastest driver around this track, actually. So, for your sort of racing buddy right here in this sort of system, Arnold's a pretty good guy to have, actually. Only issue is Arnold, of course, wants him in the wall.
Yeah.
But we'll worry about that later on. There's no point in Arnold himself putting him in the wall. That'll just ruin his championship as well. So he's just sort of hoping that Black Magic or something puts him in the wall. But being there to pressure him, that'll help.
Arnold coming in tonight, 37 points clear of the drop zone. So, he is near enough advanced, but mathematically not quite because of how things can play out. This is where he lost it last season. You'd like to think Arnold is safe for the round of 6. But you never quite know, do you? And a Jake win would put Arnold at some minor risk should anything go wrong. Here they are, side by side, once again on the main straight down at Paul Ricard. Jake O'Sullivan leads another lap. leads another lap, I should say. Casper P2, Leroy third, Jordan 4. Make that fourth. I just said that, didn't I? And Mike Kelterborn P5. They keep changing positions, Owen. I can't keep up.
I know, it is fascinating stuff, isn't it? I love to see the overtaking numbers at the end of this, so it's a shame we don't have TAS anymore, isn't it? But saying that, TAS probably wouldn't have a clue what's going on right now. So it's probably for the better we don't have it, actually, because it'd have the whole grid disqualified by the end of the formation lap. But the fighting has been very much clean, actually. I mean, I don't know how many cars we've seen, really. Since we saw Ben Harrett and Risky coming together, we haven't really seen many on-track collisions. They've sort of... I know it's the biggest commentator's curse going. I know this.
Don't.
But they have actually seemingly been doing quite well here. And we are in the closing stages of the first phase of this race.
Look at Mike Kelterborn. What a move. So aggressive to the inside of Jordan Lane. Fantastic stuff from him. But Jordan is not finished. He's still there on the inside. It's going to bring Yuri back into this fight as well. And where is Gareth and Ben Shaw? They're a little bit further away. And Leroy is out of this race.
Look, he's
middle of the track.
As sort of bad as it is to say, he's one of the drivers we didn't really mind losing because he's not in the championship. I saw him having a little moment in the last corner, and I thought I cut off him. I thought that's not going in the wall, and I came back. No, he was in the wall. So that's why I sound so disappointed. But yeah, it's a shame that for him. But I think, do you know what? In terms of the championship, him not being there, it just makes it more exciting for us, to be brutally honest. Because it now puts Jordan in a fight for the podium, puts MK Bourne on the podium, and puts Yuri on the back of the two of them. And then obviously get to go right on the back of the leaders at the end. And it's Yuri, who we saw was able to keep up with Jake earlier on in this race. It wouldn't be at all a surprise to see if he has that chance, he'll take it.
We would take a Jordan win. Sorry, not a Jordan win, a Yuri win, wouldn't we?
Of course we would. We take a Yuri. We take a Jordan win. We take anyone who's not one of the front runners, really. Do you know what I mean? Have a surprise winner here, because it's not really going to happen anywhere else under these sorts of circumstances.
These three on screen, Yuri, Jordan, and Mike, any one of those would be fantastic. You know, for the viewer and for us.
Should be said as well. Gareth's now up to 6th place, so he's going to put himself in a good spot for this restart. He's proving that those softs are still working as well. Granted, against 33 lap-hold mediums on Ben Harrett and 22 on Ben Shaw. But he's also very much in a good position for this. This is going to be brilliant, I think. And
so the fast guys, then, if we just list them off. Jake, Casper, Yuri, Gareth, Ben Harrett, and Arnaud are the standout ones tonight, would you say? That look really fast. I know that's not the order they're running in, but they are. Of
course, it's not. Yeah, it's an order that's not exactly lying to you, but it's an order made through circumstance rather than through pace, I would say, for some of them. So yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm saying Casper, Jake, obviously. I say Yuri's been there all day. I say Jordan's been there all day. On those hards as well. I know it's not making a massive difference, but it is good. Gareth maybe not as fast, but he's certainly got the best overtaking moves on the track. Ben Harrett needs to not be crashing, and then obviously then if he doesn't do that, he could very much win the race. And I'm saying that Ben Shaw's actually got some front wing damage, so he might fall well, no, he won't really. He'll lose basically nothing changing that. Outside of the top 8, I mean, I think it is only Arnaud in there. So yeah, Khalifa's been on 37 lap hold hards. I mean, he could have pace, actually. I don't know. He put it in the wall so early, didn't he? So he could
be unbeknown to us, wouldn't it? Yeah. For sure.
I mean, 9th place isn't the worst place to be, I suppose, if you have got some pace. But is it going to be the start of lap 45 if we go yellow then? Or
end of lap 45.
I hope all the drivers remember that, because that could cause some confusion. It will look a bit confusing. And they'll take the official...
let's go on board with Jake, see what happens. Yes, official track. So one more green flag lap. Yep, and so Jake's got that bit right.
Good.
And then it'll be a slow sort of safety car speed, 2 laps of the main circuit. And then we'll go racing again at the start of lap 48 as we see our first pitters, Mike Kelterborn, Arnaud and Corey all coming in.
Nothing really to lose there for MK Bourne. It's just getting the stop out of the way now, just in case anyone gets anything wrong. I suppose later on, but he'll come out behind Gareth. Gareth will move up into 5th place. And I mean, if the grid slowed down, I don't really know how they're going to make this work, to be fair. It's because people really can sort of do whatever they want, really, until they catch up to Jake. And Gareth is going to be about 30 odd seconds behind. So actually, he'll just be flat out this whole time and then just pit anyway. So, yeah, NK Bourne back out in 7th. He'll be feeling quite confident.
Yeah. Here is Jake then. What does he do this time around? He'll either pit or he'll go next lap. No, sorry, he's going to pit.
Yeah.
So the angle there.
Flat
That's
out
how
in
you
there
should
as well.
do it.
Now, will Casper pit as well?
Yeah.
Yes, he will.
So we are now under yellow flag conditions then, lap 46. And they're all coming in. Pit road is going to be busy. But there's such a big gap that Jake will
restart,
come out
by the
clearly. Go on.
How do we line up then? Do we go 2 wide or just 1?
It'd be 2 by 2. So
2
the
by 2.
odd numbered cars, so Jake, Jordan, Gareth will start on the grandstand side, and then the Casper, Yori, Ben Harrott, they'll start on the pit lane side. But by the way, Mike Counterborn, will he gain anything by pitting a lap earlier?
Yes, I think he basically actually, because he's basically just in the middle of the fight. He was already in, isn't he? But
okay, they should be taking the main circuit at this point.
yes, I'm sure they'll work that out eventually. This is why we have a couple of laps for this, just so the drivers can. Mike and Yuri's followed him, and they'll work it out eventually. I would have thought.
If Kia can do it, then I'm sure Cup can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, I think a lot of it is you get so engrossed in the racing, you forget. You just simply forget.
Exactly. It's been a long race. Like, we're already at about nearly half 8, so the race has been going on for about an hour. Or maybe not an hour, but close to just sort of 50 minutes. So it does take a while.
Yeah. Remember the first time we did this was 100%, then we dropped it down to 50. And then it went back up to 100 because everyone said it was too short.
Yeah. So we now have the top 5 lined up. And obviously there's been cars unlapping themselves. They'll be taking the long route, or the short route, the fast route, so they can get themselves onto the back quickly.
God, it's amazing how far some of these guys were behind.
I don't
know.
Just
on board with Khalifa and P8.
As I was saying, it's a race of circumstance, not of maybe pace, because Khalifa was on 37 lap hold hard after crashing on the final corner, having to do a whole lot about his front wing. He couldn't have had a slower race if he tried, but the pace could be in there. Obviously, we didn't see any of it in qualifying, but we could see it in the closing stages. OKK had some pace at the start, didn't he?
He did. Yeah.
He's right on there too. Risky, of course, was fighting with Ben Harrott. He's now going to be only 3 places behind him.
They have all got the message now, by the way. Down to 10th at least. Here comes Jamie Griffiths. And Ben Shaw.
Down nice and early. They're being sensible here. And we go at the end of this lap then?
Yeah, this lap. So you'll see him on this lap line up 2 by 2, just like they do in NASCAR. We'll just make sure that they all join up correctly. Here's Corey, Kieran and Waze, who also unlap themselves. They will work it out. So yeah, 2 by 2, and then we'll get going again. 17 cars to take us through what will be the final 6 laps when we go back to green flag racing on lap 48.
It's going to be quite exciting, I believe.
It is,
because this is really anything can happen here. Corey is on.
Oh, Kieran spun.
Well, I mean, we can laugh at that, but he's now last.
He is now last.
Jake's now first, and Kieran's last. That could be really quite a bad mistake. But at the same time, if you're last, you might just have a chance of being able to put the brakes on early and miss everything. So, yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
Blessing, curse.
Wow.
Someone else needs to be the judge, but they look to be already lining up, which I think is quite smart. Do it now, so it doesn't get confusing on the main straight. And everyone's going to be saving ERS, I would have thought, at this moment in time, if they've got any sense. Because you're going to need it.
It happened a lot later on Tuesday evening. The guys didn't line up until sort of the final couple of corners, and then, of course, you're sorting yourself out on the main straight.
You do wonder why they don't do it like this early. Did you ever watch the IndyCar when literally they just never bother lining up on the road courses?
I must admit.
Well, basically, I think they've had to introduce new rules to make them line up earlier. It's mad because, like, what's actually wrong with going around like this? But yeah,
they do this in the NASCAR, but I guess a lot of that is more oval based, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it's oval based sort of situations where Indy cars become a lot more of a road racing stuff, and they only sort of line up the front 5 rows, and then the race has started. The rest just screwed them basically. It's a very bizarre system, but Barber, they had new rules and they seemed to get the whole grid lined up. And here we are, proving that it really isn't that hard. But I would say that if I'm Jordan, I'd be closing up a little bit.
Exactly who I'm on board with. Now, we do actually follow NASCAR rules here, so other than row 1, where the leader takes the start, all the other rows, even though like Jordan's 3rd and Mike Kelterborn is 4th, they are technically just row 2, so it doesn't really matter if Mike crosses the line in 3rd. It all happens really when Jake goes. So yeah, providing they don't overtake him before the timing line, then we are all good. Slightly different restart rules here in France because we do what we want in JACKOCAR. But here we go then. 17 cars own white. They've all lined up 2 by 2 apart from Kieran at the back. It looks fantastic. I'm going to leave you to get this restart underway.
Very, very, very well behaved, and Jake is waiting right up until the line to go, and he's waiting possibly too long as we get underway again, and that's a very clustered pack. Casper obviously has DRS, they all have DRS, so that's going to cause a little bit of a mess as they all head down towards turn 1 again. Casper had initially overtaken before turn 1 as Khalifa crashes out of the race, and I think he had to back off or else he would have been sprinting off clear, and we can already see all the different lines taking place. But now, Casper on DRS, Jordan on DRS, Yuri on DRS, and NK Bourne on DRS, Jamie Griffiths, Ben Shaw, they're all on it.
Oh, Jake's getting swamped here, left and right, unbelievable.
Like I say, he could end up finishing 7th here, it ends up all going wrong. You know, he could finish just somewhere in that mid-pack where you don't want to be. And Kieran's already back up to 14th place, so you've got to think about it, but we're right 4 or 5 wide as we head through turn 3, and it's MK Bourne fighting for the lead. We've got Casper taking the lead, and Jordan just sitting in the background waiting for it all to happen. Jake is now into 6th place, but he's now part of that DRS train. He can fight away, and that's a noise I've not heard you make for a while. What are you saying?
Oh, that was tight. Jordan and Mike were tyre to tyre wall, not a millimetre between them.
Oh,
Jake is out of this race. He's out of this season's playoffs as well, but Gareth's still in it, but he's down to P12. Meanwhile, Casper leads the race, OMY, as we head towards turn 1.
Well, this is wide open now then, because the favourite is gone. He's out of it, and we can see down the inside, it's going to be Jordan making that classic Gareth move. Gareth's actually down to 11th, not having a good run. He's seen his only other rival who's in the playoffs out of it, so Gareth, it's a must-win. It was always a must-win, but now, if he does win it, you know, he'll have a decent enough chance in the next round, but at the minute, it looks like it's going to be Casper who leads away. There's a bit of wheel binding in the mid-pack. There's 6 cars going for this into turn 3. Yuri in
Mike's
second, NK Bourne's
5 cars left.
Down the inside goes Yuri once more. That's the line he's dictating at the moment. But nothing seems to be enough to get themselves past Casper, who's doing a fantastic job. And he's not used any ERS at the minute. A lot of them are saving ERS. Do they even remember that they have it? That's a genuine question that I wonder if anyone's going to be asking themselves, because it looks to me that they're all saving it or just forgetting it's there as we start lap 50 out of 53. Looks to me, by the way, like when Jake crashed, it was all on his own. Maybe a little tag, but it seemed to me like his front wing was still on the car, so that he just nicked the wall on the inside or the outside. Either way, that was a very odd accident, and it took him out of the race like it was nothing. Jordan has never won a JACKOCAR race before in the Cup Series. He's on his way through into the lead now, surely.
Go on, Jordan!
Any ERS either.
Go on, my son!
Him and Casper are being sensible. No ERS uses whatsoever. Same for Yuri. We're going to see the fastest speeds of this race right at the end. Ben Shaw's got only 24% of ERS. That might cost him a chance to win. Jamie Griffiths has been lapped the whole day. He's up to 5th, but he's out of ERS. He's going to have quite a difficult challenge to win this. But if anyone crashes in front of him, you just never know. Corey was about 16th and on the wrong tyres. He's still on the wrong tyres, but he's now up to 6th. He's got Gareth on him. who's surely going to get past him. And I don't know, it's still maybe a chance for him. But Jordan, I don't think he's ever led a race in this before. He's still not going to lead because here comes Casper just to nick it off him right at the end of the lap. Jordan still doesn't have a chance. In the last 2 laps, he still has more ERS here than Casper. He's technically the man with the best chance here. Yuri has the experience of being at the front all day, but I mean Jordan has the experience of being third all day. It's not exactly a surprise to see him up there with the pace he's shown. As he comes back through, Casper's going to take DRS for that. Yuri,
I don't think he will. I think Jordan will get it
for all of it. Jordan does not have it.
My apologies, so I take it all back.
Casper's going to lose the lead this time to Yuri, because Yuri surely had the best run there. And Ben Shaw, I mean, he's maxing out. He's used all his ERS. That's a mistake, I think. You shouldn't be doing that at this stage of the race. Maybe he doesn't know what everyone else has, but they've got a lot more than you do, my friend. And that's possibly going to be the undoing of your race. Casper is doing a superb job because of all these drivers coming around him. He just stays in the lead. He's had, I think, the least DRS out of all this pack. And he's very unfazed by what's going on. The finish style, not like when he plays Uno.
Casper got his first ever win here in France on the normal layout, but I was going to say Jamie Griffiths is not out of this yet. He's trying to make it a 5-car battle for the lead as we see Jordan go to the lead. Ben Shaw and Yuri trying to come with him as Casper starts to drop away. What can Jamie Griffiths do on these final 2 laps? They head into turn 1. Jordan still P1, 2 laps to go. Never won a race in the JACKOCAR Cup Series. Over to you, Owen Wyatt. Take us to the end.
Because he's using his DRS, Jordan. I don't know if it's the right time to be using it, my friend, because I think all you're doing is inviting a massive tow. Not just a big tow, a massive tow. Because he's now stopped using it, and it's going to cause Casper to come right up his inside. Oh, he backs off. Good race management there. There's no point having the... Oh, pardon me. Nope, I'm getting too excited. No point having the big accident right now. As we see Ben Shaw coming through. And, I mean, Yuri's now going to be 4th, but with the most ERS starting this final lap. I think Casper will probably take the lead down towards the main start-finish straight.
Hey, Owen, guess what? It's 1 lap to go here at Paul Ricard, and Jordan leads in France. Owen Wyatt.
Oh, and that's a risk out of the race. That's a big deal in the chase, but we could also say a big deal when it comes to the winner of this race, because for some reason, Casper leads this thing. I'm not sure it's the right time to lead it. He's slowing down. They're all trying to DRS check at each other. That, I think, has cost Casper the race, almost certainly. He slowed down too much. And Yuri has the most ERS out of anyone here. Keep your eye on this. I think Casper's going to be swamped. Look at the speed that Yuri's got. Jordan takes the lead. And Yuri is still trying to save ERS. There's no point saving now, lads. You've got to make the moves happen. We've only got 2 corners left in this race. Here comes Yuri taking the widest line I think he's taken all day. He really wants to sweep in underneath and steal this at the finish. And he's going to have by far the best straight line speed. Casper, once again, is doing everything right. But as we come through towards the final corner, Jordan has a run. He'll have DRS. He won't have DRS. Casper's backed off. Has he backed off too much? As finally! Jordan's going to have the race win for the very first time in the JACKOCAR Cup Series. The man who's been here forever is going to take victory. And it is a very, very well-deserved win for Jordan. 107 starts. His first ever victory in the Cup Series. Fully deserved. Fantastic ERS management. He did well not to take the bait from Casper at the start of that final lap when Casper stood on at this very corner to lose the DRS. And in the end, Casper got too clever and it let Jordan go through. And he had enough ERS to get himself home. It is a first ever victory in the Cup Series. For some reason, Risky's driver of the day. I'm pretty sure he crashed out at the end, but okay. The driver of the day absolutely is Jordan. I mean, finally. And I said it right from the start. If you're going to have an upset winner, it's going to be today. And for the man who's 27 points behind Risky, or well, who is it in the chase? Yeah, behind Risky in the chase. Well, he's just gained 20 points on him. He's led some laps. He's very much put himself in with a shot at the Championship 5 with his first ever victory. And once again, what was I saying? We can expect chase drivers to win races these days. It's what they do.
Brilliant stuff. Lovely. We've waited and waited and waited for Jordan to win a race for so long. And that, by the way, is the longest time between a debut and a first race win in JACKOCAR Cup and Kia combined 107 races. Jordan, by the way, statistically the most successful driver in the league without a win of any kind before today. One pole position previously, 4 fastest laps, 2 stage wins, 5 visits to the podium, and one time he led the most laps. 814 points becomes 834, and that he won the race only with his 41st lap led ever.
It's
What a
Jordan.
popular win that will be.
It's Jordan who quit league racing just before
Yeah.
the end of last season. Thank goodness he came back, because his big days finally arrived, and it was coming. It's been coming for so long. We've been saying it all these years that it was going to happen, and it looked like it might have happened last season. It was starting to come good. We saw Mexico. We had a good drive this season as well. And finally, he's driven a race at the front all day, qualified 7th, was running for the podium all the time, saved his ERS well, and won this race. That is not only a good result for him, it's a good result for the championship. Of course, we lose Gareth and we lose Jake in the playoffs. That is the other big news at the end of this race. Jake, the inquest will have begun. I wonder who put him in the wall. Was it him? Was it someone else? I'm sure we'll hear from him at some point. He'll be throwing a book at someone. He does that to a lot of people. I'm not over it yet. And yeah, we're going to see the chase really heating up now, because Yuri was still up there at the front. He has closed points. Jordan's closed points on Risky and Ben Harrett, who didn't have the best days today. This is going to be a very exciting last 2 races of the playoffs.
Yeah, you should also mention as well, it's a good result for the league as well.
Well, of course.
Bloody
That's what
brilliant
goes without
stuff.
saying, doesn't it?
Yeah. What it does for the playoffs, obviously we see Gareth Hall exit and Jake O'Sullivan exit the round of 8. So marching on to the round of 6 are, of course, Corey Dalton, Khalifa El Khalifa, Ben Shaw, Arnaud de Grief, Casper Klein, and Kieran Spears. The chase, as you say, Owen, throws it a little bit more wide open. Jordan still has some work to do because he only goes up to 535 points, I believe. So it puts him what would be 6 points shy of Sullivan Lewis. But of course, Sullivan did not score a point. So Ben Harrett now leads the chase once again. Actually, no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. It's Yuri Hazelager who moves up to closer to Sullivan. But yeah, certainly Jordan very much in contention now with 2 races to go. I can't say what they are, but I do know what they are. And I'm sure they'll provide us with some excellent racing. We are 3 weeks away from deciding this new champion. And by the way, Jordan's win today puts us up to 9 race winners for the season, which is fantastic.
It's just brilliant all round. So I think if it does look like we say that that's going to be the last race on the France Superspeedway, unless Codemasters do their traditional. We've got some DLC for you, but it's actually a track that's been in the game since F1 2018. They might do that. If they don't do that, we've been having discussions in the chat. We've been having some disagreements in the chat. So the super speedways might return, but if that is the end for France, what a way for it to bow out.
Brilliant stuff, wasn't it?
You're the one doing the straight, so I'm going to have to get you to kill it off.
No, I was just about to say it's up to me to end it all. Anything else to add, Mr. Wyatt, or are you fairly content with that? I'm very happy with that.
I'm pretty happy with that. We'll be back next week for more of it.
Yep, it'll be in Australia. Goodbye.
Heard it here first.